Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I have a returning guest. Actually, I believe Josh was our first video ever recorded when I launched these interview series. So please welcome Josh Culler back to the show. How you doing, Josh?
What's going on, Mike? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back. I'm very honored to be your first guest on the show after all the rock stars you've had on here. I mean, I've seen everybody that you've got on the show, so I'm very humbled and excited to be back and talk about this topic that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's lots of people like to talk about real estate and investing, and there's all these rah things that you see out there, people flashing checks and all those things on social media that actually are far closer to upsetting me than being motivating, because I think it's more the sizzle and it's not the hard work. But you actually posted a simple picture, and I'm going to bring it up here in a minute so we can all look at it. But before I do that, what was your impetus to sort of put that out? It seemed like you were speaking to a specific audience, and why don't you give the vision of what sparked it, and then I'll bring it up.
Yeah, so I don't remember the name of the account that I was following on Instagram, and I just came across this graphic that Michael showed, basically talking about retirement and how you work like almost probably over half your life to retire for 15 years and do nothing. And I've always, I shouldn't say I've been against retirement, but I've always been against, spending the last 15 to 20 years of my life sitting on a beach, sipping Mai Tais and, just not doing anything with my life. And so and Mike, and I'm probably going to have you end up coming to speak at my next one. I have a mastermind that I have for younger people that are millennials and kind of my age. So I'm 25 years old, college age, high school age. So at my last event that I had last month, I had about, what did I have? 20, 22 people there or something like that. And basically teaching them this kind of stuff that like, it's such a false movement that kind of the secular world has put in our minds that we need to work and build up our funds, build up our retirements, and just chill for the last 15 years of our life. And if you even have that, so some people work and, they build up their retirement for the next 50 years of their life, and then they pass away 5 years after they, have gone into retirement. So to me, it's just like, I don't want to waste any day on this earth. I was mentioning to Mike even today, like everything that I do is purposeful. Like I got a flight delayed coming from Jackson, Mississippi last night. And so we had to actually push this podcast back 30 minutes recording because I was catching up with the rest of the day. But, I slept in, but it's only because I got in so late last night. Like I would not be sleeping in if it wasn't for that. So everything I do is purposeful. Every minute I spend has a reason behind it. And so, I mean, we could kind of go from there, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
The one thing before I bring it up is when I saw you post it, I saw you were clearly talking to the sub 25-year-olds, right? Which is sort of your niche, right? Yeah. I looked at it and was like, that speaks as well to me, the 45 to 50-year-old club going, man, A, this is what we were taught and told was successful. And B, we have kids now. And it's like, what are we doing to them? So without further ado, let's just bring it up so we can stop talking in theory and make sure that technology works for us. Share. And then let's see if I can't get that a little bigger. So hopefully you're seeing it now. The WorkLife Scam. You can see it?
Yep, we got it.
Excellent. So again, why don't you talk about it for a minute as you put it out there to the 25-year-olds, and then I'll talk to it as the 45 to 50-year-olds.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, it is for everybody, but my primary audience is that younger age group, because those are the people I can connect stronger with and get points across a lot easier than a little bit of an older age group. But yeah, so this isn't the first time I've seen this graphic, but when I saw it, like it kind of sparked something in me that like I need to post about this. And there's actually, if you guys look it up, I'm sure you could Google it, but look it up. And there's a guy named Rob Dial, R-O-B, Dial, D-I-A-L. And he has a video out there talking about kind of this concept. And the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. I shared it right off the bat. But this whole thing basically talking about like, you retire at the age, this graphic shows 67. So just to go off the graphic, we'll talk about it. So, the average retirement age, I think, is between 65, 67 years old, right? So, praying that you make it to that day, Lord willing. And then, the life expectancy of a human being, the average now is 78 years old. So basically you're going to be working for 50 years to be free for this one. I've been saying 15 years, but this one says 11 years. So you're going to be working for 50 years of your life doing most people are doing something they hate for 50 years of their life, whether it is a corporate job or working on a railroad or, doing whatever it is, manual labor work or whatever, or, even working in restaurants or whatever it is they're doing. Most of the time it's doing something they hate for 50 years just to be free for 11 years, hoping they saved enough
Right.
for that 11 years. And then the bottom that says work for something you're passionate about, create your own life. And so that last part there is kind of like the icing on the cake there, because for me, I don't care what it is you're doing. If you're passionate about it, like crush it. I've always said, I think I said it on the first show that you had me on. I always say, if you love flipping hamburgers, then go to McDonald's and be the best burger flipper you could possibly be. Like be singing while you're, double wielding spatulas, just make the best of it. Yeah. The problem is that people have this, and it's what the world's taught us, or not the world, America has taught us, is that you save up for retirement and then you just chill on a beach for the last few years of your life. And I think that is I think you're missing out on so much life if you do that.
So. When I saw you write about it, because again, we're speaking to different audiences. What I saw you writing about was what I'll just genericize as the millennials to put in a big bucket, was, you're really asking them to wake up and not follow the path that I was told was success. Right?
Because it's not too late at this point.
Exactly. Well, and you don't have commitments, and you're spending. Right. You don't have the family, and then this college, and all that other stuff that you have to. So I thought it was beautiful. But when I saw this, and I'm thinking about the 50-year-olds out there, right? I'm like, okay, so you're on this path, right? You're in the left-hand side of this. What can you do to buy, in this case, the 12 or 13 years, right? What can you do to get out a little bit early? And obviously, you helped write my book. I was out at 45. So in this example, I bought 22 years. Yeah. So it is absolutely the work-life scam, because I was told growing up, go to school, get a good education, climb the corporate ladder. And if Rich Dad, Poor Dad didn't slap me around at 30, I would have been this gray-haired, individual in, 20 years or so. So I think it is a scam. I think we're told it's successful, but it's not. And I don't think enough people know there's options. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. So from your perspective, talk about living passionately on purpose and what you're hoping other, 20, 25-year-olds step up and don't get on this track. What are you hoping to see them do?
Man, that's kind of I actually have a quote that I wrote down from me and Tom Olson did an interview for the Good Success podcast today with a guy named Noel Christopher, who's with Renter's Warehouse, and super sharp guy and just an incredible human being. And he said, we always ask, one of the last questions we ask, and you've been on the show twice, is what is good success to you? Yeah. What does that term mean? And to him, this kind of really exemplifies what I believe life should be, like from the time you're born to the time you walk off the face of this earth, right? Like, so the quote is, live a purpose-driven life, not a results-driven life. So in my mind, my mind directly goes to, if you do live your purpose-driven life, it's going to create results, right? So and success, that whole term is it's monetary. I mean, people can define nowadays what success is to them, right? Mm-hmm. So I was actually having a conversation with one of my mentors, Abhi Golhar, and asking him, man, I know I need to create wealth for, later on in my years. So I'm investing out of my IRA and building up my IRAs, and I'm going to be opening up a 401k pretty soon, that kind of thing. And I've just kind of been thinking about the past couple of weeks, what is that for? Just kind of I I'm a very thought-provoking person. So I get something in my mind and I want to figure it out, because even if it's something that's a wrong mindset or I'm going down a wrong path or something like that. So I called him and talked about it. And he says, if success to you is, traveling the world with your wife, which is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
And, we're going to be booking flights to Hawaii here this week to go in October for our 1-year anniversary.
Nice.
And my mind goes like, should I, cause I've had people tell me before, like I've taken a couple of few international trips over the past 8 months since her and I have been married, but man, like I can't put a price tag on the memories that we made, the time that we've invested, and it's just been absolutely incredible. That's what we're passionate about. And so for me, I've had people say like, Josh, why don't how much money have you spent in that whole travel that you've done internationally? And I did the math, and it was a pretty large chunk. And they're like, well, what if you just invested that instead of spending the money on those vacations? And that really pricked my heart. Like I'm like, yeah, but I can't get that time back. Like I thoroughly, like I got so much joy out of, those memories that I made, the time that I invested with, and to me, it was an investment with my wife, because I don't know how long I have on this earth with my wife. Yeah. So it goes around like that, just what does it mean to you to live a passionate life? I mean, that last part of there, it says work for something you're passionate about. And like, that's why I always go back to, if you're passionate about flipping hamburgers, like go be the best burger flipper you could possibly be and just have fun while doing it. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know. No, I totally agree. I think that's the right. And it's, anybody who tells you that you should have saved that money and invested it, I would tell you that's kind of, frankly, that was the teachings I was given. And
there's a balance too.
Yeah.
Like obviously I'm not going to spend every dime that I get, but at the same time, I don't want to not do these things, especially while I'm young. And wait till the last, wait till I'm 67 to go to Hawaii. Like I have no interest in doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's try to take this picture and, let's try to, I don't know what you want to do. Fast forward it 40 years. Let's pretend it's you. And try to get you on this picture. And obviously this is linear, and maybe in the future it's not linear, because maybe for you, there is no retirement, right? You do what you do until the day you leave. And maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But how does this picture change in your mind for someone in your age group?
So I have I have been extremely blessed, especially with the line of work that I do. So I own a media company, and that's what I do with my, day in, day out. And I'm for the record, I am very passionate about everything that I do in that. Now, I always believe, Mike, that there are going to be things that you have to do that you don't want to do or you don't like doing. Like there's always going to be that tenant for you that is going to give you a hard time, and you got to kick them out, and, you got to go through all that garbage. But, it's the same for me. I mean, there's always going to be a client that gives me a hard time. There's always going to, so I gotta do things that I dislike, but at the same time, as a whole, I thoroughly am passionate about what I do. So for me, I've been blessed though, where like, if my knees get about tomorrow, I can still do my work. I can still do what I'm doing. I may not be able to travel as much as I am, but I can send somebody instead of me to make that stuff happen. Right. So for me, it depends on what you're doing too. Again, like success is different for every person.
Sure.
Because you even mentioned it. I don't believe I'm ever going to retire. Like, unless some crazy thing comes across my mind and, something hits me in the face and says you need to retire, then, who knows? But for me right now, I don't believe I'm ever going to retire. For one of those reasons is because I don't have like manual labor work that I do. I don't have to walk through houses. I don't have to, plunge toilets or whatever it is, or work on railroads. Like I don't have to do that stuff. So I've been blessed to be able to do something where I can be in an office and just have a computer and Wi-Fi, and that's all I need in order to do the work. But for me, my thought has always been, I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I'm not ashamed of that. And to me, my thoughts are that, as soon as I'm done with my purpose here on earth, that's when the Lord is going to take me home. Like that's what's going to happen. I very much strongly believe that, if I, I hate saying it, but if I fulfill my purpose at the age of 30, like, what happens? So,
Yep.
but if it takes me to the age of 100 to do it, and God's like, hey, you need to get it into gear and, make stuff happen, then so be it. But that's what I believe. And so I don't want to fulfill my purpose on earth at 67 and then chill the rest of the 11 years. And then I get to heaven and God's like, what'd you do with the rest of the years after you fulfilled your purpose? And I have to look to him and say, well, I just wasted it all. So thanks.
Yeah. This is where, because I've been thinking about this since I sent you that note on Facebook, is how this picture changes for the two of us. So for you, right? And by you, I mean your age group, right? Not you, Josh. But I think there's I think it's the person in the middle. There's nothing left and right. And it's like, go, right? Or you're like, because this society is going to this economy where most of us can do what we want to, whether it's with a PC and a phone or internet or whatever. And if you are manual labor, like railroads or, whatever, you'll evolve to something else when that time is gone.
Right.
There is very few people that will work to 65, collect the gold watch, and then chill until, the time has come. So the world's different. Technology is different. Health is different. Longevity is different. I mean, there's so many things. I think for your age group, this linear view goes out the window, and it's just like, live your life, live your passionate life, purposeful life, whatever.
So two things on that real quick, because that makes total sense. And it actually brought something up that I thought about. So the first thing is that, millennials get a lot of flack, right? Like they get a lot, like they don't know how to work. They think they're entitled, all that stuff, which
I've never said that, but yes.
No, Mike has never said that, but, we get that reputation, and it's true. I think it is my age. It is my age group. I have friends associates that I graduated high school with, peers, there you go, that have that kind of a mindset, right? They think that everything's free and they deserve the world and that kind of thing. But I think one of the biggest things, the biggest strong point, and every generation has their flaws, right? And I'm no expert on generations, and I've not been around the block 40 years, like that kind of thing. So if you're listening, then, to be very clear, if you haven't looked at my age, I've not been around the block. But the perspective is that millennials, I believe the strongest point of them is that they're not afraid to chase after what they love doing.
Yes.
And I think that's something to be like, maybe the older age group doesn't agree with it.
No, absolutely. But that's to be admired.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest strong points. And, there are flaws, obviously, like a lot of them will chase after something they love doing, and then they just stop because failure hits and like all that. And that's deeper stuff. But the point is that they tried in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be, that's admirable on our part.
Yeah.
The second thing is that, when it comes down to it, every single person has their purpose on life. And that's why, like, this quote that, live a purpose driven life, not a results driven life. I think the important thing is that people don't, everybody's got a purpose, but people don't go look for it. And that's the problem, is that they've been sold this lifestyle, that this American dream where, we had this amazing conversation with Noel Christopher, and I'm sure that you could jump on it like right away too. And we were talking about how, affordability, like these kids are gaining this $100,000, $200,000 student loan debt, and then they're going to buy houses that they can't afford that are in the $250,000, $300,000 price range. But then they also own a Lexus, and then, a $50,000 car. And they just get sold this lifestyle that the world tells them, or America tells them. I keep saying the world, it's America, guys. America tells them that they need or they deserve. Yeah. So then they think it's free because they can get loans on it. Yeah. And so they go after that, and then they find themselves in trouble. And that's why this graphic exists, is because they have to spend 50 years of their life paying all that off. That's what happens. And so and it makes so much sense, but it's a trap. Yeah. It's a trap. So
no, totally agree. So when I think about you, I was sort of thinking that, this linear model goes away. You're in the middle, you run your life, you chase what you're passionate about, and you survive. And yes, you don't buy that, you don't overpay for housing or cars or any of that stuff, which older generations were known for, and myself included.
Right.
When I think about my age group, again, myself, I'm like, okay, let's look in the mirror, and this is the path you're on.
Mm-hmm.
You can either stay on this path and just know that this is the ending, right? In my case, you'd have 20 more years to go, and, so be it. Hopefully it's longer than 78 years, but, whatever. Yeah. Or you can look yourself in the mirror and go, you know what? That's not okay. What can I do today? Likely reduce expenses, likely increase income, side hustle, whatever, so that maybe we can buy a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to help people buy time. And this was the graph that showed me, if you don't, this is what's going to happen to you. So if you're in my age group, you need to look at this and go, that's my future. Do I want to step up now and be uncomfortable? Because again, if you've heard anything about Olivia and I's story, it was uncomfortable, the amount of sacrifices we made. No new cars, no upgrades, no moving, no crazy vacations. But now, it worked out. It took 15 years, but it worked out. And, now at 45, we are now in retirement, and, life's pretty good. So that's it.
That's incredible. And I love that, the whole mentality. And I've tried to wrap my brain around this the past few months of, being full-time in my own business. Because, when you get full-time in your own business, you're basically, in the E-Myth, you're the technician, you're the manager, and the entrepreneur. So, been working crazy hours. I mean, I can't even tell you how many hours I've been working. It's probably been close to, 15-hour days, Monday through Monday.
I'm sure.
And so I've had to establish, I have a wife, I have a life that I need to live. And there are things that I can delegate. And I love the mentality of buying time back, because, in today's society, it's like, instead of me hiring, so we're having somebody that's going to come deep clean our house, right? Which normally would probably take me and Gabby a good 2 hours to do, but I can pay someone to come in for $100 to do the entire house and deep clean it. In that 2 hours, most people are like, well, you could save $100 and do it yourself. But to me, I'm not passionate about cleaning a house. And to me, my time is worth far more than $50 an hour if it takes her 2 hours to do it for $100.
Yeah.
And most people will look at that like you could save that money as opposed to spending it. And to me, I'm like, no, I'm investing it because I'm buying myself 2 hours today. Yeah. And I can go do whatever the heck I want with those 2 hours instead of cleaning my house and doing something that I would rather scrape a cheese grater against my head to do. So, but to me, I think that's something that I've had to wrap my brain around. And I was telling you before we jumped on the show is that I had to hire my first full-time employee for my media business because I've been working 12, 13 hours a day. And I love where you're at, where you're like, you're producing content, and you're amazing at it. And that's primarily what you do with your day.
Yep.
And so to me, I want to work less and make more. I got to take a step back. I'm going to obviously take a little bit of a pay cut with having her come on board. But at the end of the day, it's going to allow me to do even more and more and more with what I'm excellent at. And I'm good at video editing, and I'm great at, brand designing and podcast production, that kind of stuff. But that's something I could train somebody else to do. And I could work 4 hours a day instead of 13 and do something, focus on my health or focus on investing time with my wife. And I think that's what a big misnomer is, because I don't know if you noticed it, one of the comments that was on my post was, one of my friends said, I agree with you, but some people just want to work. That's what they want to do. And to me, I'm like, whoa, hold on. We're going off another trail here, because I work. The definition of work is the effort you put into something. Mm-hmm. So for me, no, I'm not going to be working 13-hour days like in my business, but I still work and hustle and grind when I'm, with my walk with God. Like I'm hustling and working hard to build my relationship with God. I'm working hard on my health. I'm working hard on, growing my relationship with my family and my wife and all that kind of stuff. So the trend is thinking like you have to be a technician and work for X amount of hours every day in order to build up this retirement, when I'm like, no, I want to save the time now and, spend a little bit of cash to get time back. And because that's far more valuable of a currency than money is. I mean, as well as anybody, you can lose all the money in the world, but you can gain it all back. But once you lose that time, it's gone. So
watch. Time is the only thing you can't get back. And as a once young 25-year-old man myself, I can tell you health is the one. Don't let it get away from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can
and I've been there, man.
You can make that mistake and do 16-hour days, and pretty soon you're 35 and you're like, oh my God, what happened? So
who is this guy looking at me in the mirror?
It looks like two of me. What happened? So do me a favor, give a little plug to your media company. Obviously, I'm a client, I guess you would call it, and I'm a huge fan. So please publicize what you do, how people can find you, all of those good things.
Yeah, and I appreciate you allowing me to do that. Mike is one of my favorite clients, so he's awesome.
So nice.
But what I love about Mike is that he's hands-on with the content. It's good to have those passive clients that are just like, yeah, just do your thing and make it happen. But Mike, kind of like what he does all day, I mean, we already mentioned it, is content. So he needs to make sure that he does well with it. And so he's absolutely crushing it with the YouTube and podcasts and obviously his book and everything else that he's got going on. So, my media business, we do primarily content production. So every client's different. Some clients I do videos for. I actually do vlogging for, a couple of clients where I actually follow them around like Gary Vaynerchuk style, where I follow them around with the camera all day. I just got back from Jackson, Mississippi yesterday with the Get It Girls, Cindy Crane and Lisa Englehart, and follow them around all day in Mississippi. And so then I come back and get the content produced and then distribute it to their social platforms and wherever they're wanting to distribute. Guys like Mike want podcast production. So basically we take, the YouTube video that's going out for this video right here is going to be stripped into audio and then put out into the podcast format. And we do that for Mike. And so podcast production, video production, photography. I'm actually in talks right now with Mike. We're going to be doing the audio book for One Rental at a Time. So I just got ACX certified about a month ago. So I'm able to produce audio books. And
let's be clear. You will be doing that?
I will be doing it.
Because Mike is not doing that. Josh is doing that.
Josh is doing it. So yeah, we're clear. Okay, cool. But yeah, I do.
Know your strength, man. Know your strength.
Hey, I got it. And I'm flattered that you're going to have me do it, by the way. So, but I do book publishing too. So Mike's book, I did publish that book, and I've published about 20 other books. And so that's a lot of fun. And then I also do brand designing. So I'll actually build brands and design logos and that kind of stuff. So to find me, you could either email me, josh@colormedia.com. Color is spelled CULLER, or you could just go to color.media, and that's my website, and you can contact me from there. So Mike, thanks for letting me plug it, and thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, of course. And again, keep doing what you're doing. I think, you are helping a generation that I think has a bad rap. And I love everything you're doing, obviously, and look forward to seeing where you take this in the future. And early congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. I remember seeing the wedding pictures. So yeah, man. Time flies.
It feels like it was yesterday. Oh my goodness. When you're an entrepreneur for life, like you don't even, what day is it today? Like, I don't even know. So they all blend in together, but they go by fast. So
there you go.
I appreciate it though.
You're crushing, Josh, and say hi to Gabby for me. All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Mike.